Hi, I'm Taylor, and my case was titled Does GM's Future Lie in China? It focuses on the company General Motors, known as GM. Starting off with background, the old GM is GM before 2009. GM was considered an American icon, concentrating on its domestic market, holding more than 50% of the United States automotive market share. GM was the leader of global car sales between 1931 and 2007. Before most competitors, they entered the Chinese automotive market in 1997 by forming a joint venture with Shanghai Automotive Industrial Corporation, SAIC for short. During GM's heyday, they employed around 350,000 US workers, but that ended when they had to file for bankruptcy in 2009. GM, after going bankrupt in 2009, is known as the new GM. 70% of their revenue lies outside of the United States, and 30% of total revenue is coming from China. 37% of their total cars sold are in China, which is more than 3.6 million vehicles. Their most popular vehicle being the Wuling Sunshine, as pictured there in the bottom right corner. GM sold 2 million of these microvans in 2014, where most of this data comes from. So, two major strategies used by GM are a low-cost strategy and a market penetration strategy. GM's low-cost strategy is selling a large volume of vehicles while keeping costs low. The market penetration strategy is used globally. GM made sure to create relationships in China in order to gain market share and plans to continue this in other countries as well. In China, they have quadrupled engineering and design personnel while investing $250,000 on a new research and design facility in Shanghai and $14 billion on 5 additional manufacturing plants. So some problems faced by GM. Their first problem happens to be their low-cost strategy, specifically in the United States. This strategy in the US made GM unprofitable and ultimately led them to file for bankruptcy in 2009. I conducted a mini pestle analysis and found two of GM's problems to be economic and socio-cultural. The economic problem is the slowdown of the Chinese economy combined with the devaluation of the yuan. This is going to increase competition in the Chinese automotive market and will begin a price war with competitors. The sociocultural problem is China's car-to-person ratio, being 11 cars to every 100 people. This raises a challenge for GM as they will continue to penetrate the Chinese market. Solutions. GM should continue their low-cost strategy, but instead of the United States, continue it in China and other countries. This strategy works better globally because the cost to employ workers internationally is much lower than that in the US. If GM continues their low prices while offering the best product, they will continue to grow in China and keep their high market share. GM should also focus on their long-term growth in China and begin to enter other global markets so they can grow even more. Recommendations. My first recommendation for GM is to create those other international relationships now before their competitors do. This will get their foot in the door of emerging economies in Asia, Latin America, and the Middle East. They can dominate their automotive markets. Secondly, more long-term, GM should implement their low-cost strategies in these new countries. This will help GM gain a competitive advantage against rivals and create a barrier to entry, which would be economies of scale. Thank you for listening.